As our wizards make their way towards the city of Daldrok, searching for power and treasure, both Akashara and Thootstulalah have oddly enough stumbled upon a broken down covered wagon. Assuming to see some individuals trying to get the wagon up and running again, they instead find this treasure trove of a discovery surrounded by creatures of a demonic nature. Why are they here? And what are they waiting for? It is up to our wizards to fight against these demons for fortune, as well as themselves. Hello folks, and welcome to Dice Chatter. My name is Donnie, and today we continue our Frostgrave campaign with our wizards headed to the ruined city of Daldrak looking for fortune and fame. We have the wizard Thootstulalah the Snakequeen from the Soothsayer School of Magic, and the wizard Akashara the Witch, and you guessed it, focusing on the Witch School of Magic. Now before we get into the game, we will cover the wizards, their spells, the warband they have hired, the scenario, and any other pre-game shenanigans. So without further ado, let's dive in. Thootstulalah the Snakequeen is joined by her apprentice, Randall. If we remember from her last battle, Randall has now acquired a permanent injury. He is now never quite as strong and begins each game at -1 health. On the bright side though, Thootstulalah does gain some bonuses to casting Reveal Secret due to having her base of operations at the tower, which we will get to a little bit later. Now on over to Akashara and her apprentice, Cletus. In Akashara's last battle, nothing negative happened to her warband. Herself and Cletus have their pockets full of coin and potions. And of course, Akashara will be attempting to make a couple more potions as well with some spellcasting in a moment. Now on over to the warbands. For Thootstulalah in her warband, we have a ranger, a treasure hunter, an apothecary, 3 thieves, and a couple thugs. No major changes or purchases for her warband from the previous fight. On over to Akashara. In her warband, we have a crossbowman, a ranger, a treasure hunter, 3 thugs, and a couple thieves. Moving on over to the scenario we are running today, in the Frostgrave campaign book, Thaw of the Lich Lord, we'll be playing a slightly different variation from the scenario, Loot the Cart. Pause the video now and check the description for more specific details on the scenario if you so choose. 5 treasures will be placed on the board according to the setup of this scenario, 3 of them in the direct center with the broken down wagon. A handful of arrows should be popping up on the screen now to give you a general understanding of where they are located on the table. The goal of this battle is for either wizard to claim some treasure and hopefully take out some demons for some extra experience points as well. Just before the game begins, we do have some before game spells to roll. Thootstulalah will attempt to cast Reveal Secret, which may grant her an additional treasure reward roll in the aftermath. The spell goes off on a 9, and she is successful on a 13. Randall will try as well, needing an 11, and he rolls a 3. I will also mention that for this battle, Thootstulalah is carrying the magical item, the Horn of Destruction, and Randall is carrying a scroll of Fleet to use on a nearby ally. Akashara has some pre-game spells as well. She will start off attempting to cast Brew Potion. For the wizard, this spell is successful on an 11, and she doesn't get it on an 8. Cletus will give it a try as well, and he needs a 13, and he is also not that good at making potions. Akashara will also attempt to cast Animal Companion. This spell is successful on a 10, and she gets it with a 19. She will decide to replace one of her thugs with the Powerful Bear. Cletus will elect to not cast the Animal Companion spell, since 2 bears who can't pick up any treasures may be a little too much. Another thing to mention as well is that the treasure hunter for Akashara will be carrying the potion Elixir of Speed, and Cletus will be carrying the scroll Illusionary Soldier during the battle. With all of the pre-game stuff out of the way, we'll roll to see who will go first. And it seems that Akashara the Witch will start things off. We will have both sides set up their warbands, and then we will get things rolling. Turn 1 Wizard Phase. The big, cute, cuddly, and deadly bear will go first and double move up closer to the demonic imps guarding the treasure. After this move, the thief nearby Akashara will head forward towards the nearby treasure and for his second action, pick up the chest of gold. This will end his turn and we move things over to the treasure hunter who will drink the elixir of speed for his first action, boosting him up to 9 movement. And then the hunter will make his way to the broken down wagon as well. The final move will go to Akashara herself, who will scoot over a little bit to the side to get a visual on the wagon and its contents. She will then attempt to cast telekinesis on a treasure inside the wagon. This spell goes off on a 12 and she rolls a 9, yet she will elect to empower the spell, taking 3 damage, and move one of the inner treasures towards her allies. This will also cause the creatures to activate now once their turn comes around. Now on over to Thootstulala's wizard phase. The ranger next to her will activate first and start moving up the road. He will then fire an arrow into the little red imp on the side of the wagon. We have a +2 shooting attack against the imp's +1 defense. The arrow flies and is not powerful enough to pierce into the imp's hide. The thief near the wizard will go next, move up to the nearby treasure and pick it up for his warband. This will then end his turn and Thootstulalah will go next. She will move herself up the road a bit and then attempt to cast Banish. Now this spell affects all demons within line of sight, which is all these 3 demons. The spell is successful on a 12 and she rolls a 9. The Snakequeen will elect to empower the spell for 3 and this forces each imp to make a will save. Each imp must get a 10 or higher on the die. The one on the left gets a natural 1 and is removed from the battle. The one in the center remains in this plane of existence, and the same thing goes for the one on the right. 1 for 3 isn't bad. To finish the turn, the apothecary will just move up and stay near Thootstulalah, and their wizard phase will end there. This moves things back on over to Akashara and her apprentice phase. The ranger will start things off and head up towards the center of the board. For his second action, he will fire an arrow towards the purple imp in front of the wagon. We have a +2 shot against a +1 defense, and the ranger deals the exact amount of damage to take out the beast protecting the treasure trove. This will end his turn, and we will move things over to a crossbowman who will take all of his movement to get perfectly perched up on these steps, and end his turn there, waiting to fire a bolt at the enemy. The orange thief near Cletus will activate next and double move up towards the treasure out in the open and wait to pick up the chest next time he can activate. This leaves the final move to Cletus, who will go 6 inches up the board and then attempt to cast the spell Wall up near the wagon to block Thootstulalah's descent. Now this is a big risk spell which goes off on a 16, and with a roll of a 4, the apprentice will take 2 points of damage and end his turn there. Now we move on over to Thootstulalah's apprentice phase. The treasure hunter and the thief near Randall will go first and just use their quick speed to make it up pretty far up the battlefield, getting closer to the imps surrounding the wagon. After these 2 soldiers move up, Randall himself will activate. His first action will be to move up behind this tree for some cover, but will then attempt to cast Mind Control on the imp in front of the wagon. This spell is successful on a 14, and the spell is cast. The imp has a chance to resist the spell on a 14 or higher, but it is unsuccessful. Now the creature is part of Thootstulalah's warband for the time being. Quite the sneaky acquisition. The final move of this round will be this thug who was just near Randall at the start of the turn and will decide to move up and stay near the apprentice to activate with him in a future turn. This will end the apprentice phase, and we now move on over to the soldier phase. Both of these wizard soldier phases should be very quick here. Simply enough, both the extra fighters for each warband will move up and get closer to either wizard or the apprentice so that next round they have a chance to activate earlier in the round. Also, the imp under Randall's control will sit near the cart. After these handful of moves, we move over to the creature phase where only one imp will activate since the other is under Randall's control. This little guy will move to the closest target, the massive bear, and then will attack the beast. We have a +2 fight against the bear's +4, and the imp manages to find a weak spot, dealing 4 damage into the bear. After this combat, we end turn number 1. We will roll some initiative to see which warband will begin things for turn 2, and it looks like Akashara will be starting things off once again. So we begin turn 2 wizard phase with Akashara herself, and she will cast Leap on the treasure hunter, who is a jump's distance from the damaged cart. This spell is successful on a 10, and with a 15, the hunter is flung forward right next to the cart, waiting to pick up a treasure. Akashara and the 2 thugs next to her will elect to sit still and pass things over to Thootstulalah. To begin her wizard phase, the thief carrying the treasure will start making his way off the board and be slightly encumbered by the massive treasure chest, and then pass things over. Thootstulalah herself will go next and try to copy Akashara's plans with her treasure hunter. For the Snakequeen, she will cast Push instead. The spell goes off on a 12, and it is successful. Now a +10 attack against the hunter's +3 defense. And with that poor spell roll outcome, it looks like Thootstulalah was not strong enough to force the fighter forward, and will decide to stay put. The ranger will go next and move up. He will fire an arrow into the combat with the bear and the imp. After a determining roll off camera, the target of the arrow will be the imp. We have a +2 shot against a +1 defense, and the arrow whizzes by this deranged demon. To finish off the wizard phase, the apothecary will stay put next to Thootstulalah if her wizard needs her, and this will pass things over to Akashara's apprentice phase. We will start things off with the orange thief who has yet to pick up the treasure. This little guy will just do that and start moving off the board very slowly, and this will end his activation. Cletus the apprentice will go next and attempt to cast Leap on the thief who just moved. This spell goes off on a 12, and he nails it with a 13. This means the treasure will fly back and get closer to the board's edge. After the spell is cast, Cletus will just move up into the ruined building and end his turn there. The final activation will go to the ranger, who will fire an arrow into the enemy ranger out in the open. We have a +2 shot against a +2 defense, and with that roll there is no chance an arrow would hit its target. The ranger will then just reposition himself behind the tree for some cover and pass the turn over. To begin Thootstulalah's apprentice phase with Randall himself. He and the 2 thugs nearby are in an odd position with not too much to do, so Randall will just cast Fleet Feet on himself if he needs a quick escape from the battlefield and to get some extra experience. This spell is successful on a 14, but he gets a 12, and he'll just decide to take a couple points of damage, and the apprentice is now faster. The 2 thugs will also stay put nearby, waiting for the demons, who will be on the scene very soon. Now on over to Akashara's soldier phase, we will start things with some combat. The bear will attempt to chomp down on the little imp right in front of it. We have a +4 fight against a +1, and the cuddly bear isn't so cuddly anymore and just decimates the poor imp. After the creature is defeated, the bear will move up towards the cart, protecting the treasure hunter, as well as gaining some cover from the wagon. The crossbowman perched up on these ruined stairs will go next and fire a bolt towards the enemy ranger. There is some tree limbs in the way, giving the ranger a bonus to dodge. So we have a +2 shot against a +3 defense, and once again, Akashara's ranged forces are not landing their shots. The crossbowman will reload and stay in his position. For the final 2 actions, we will make them quick. The treasure hunter near the wagon will pick up the second out of 3 treasures from inside the wagon and start making his way on out of here, while the other thief, who is already carrying a treasure, will start slowly making his way to the edge of the board. Akashara is pretty happy with this outcome so far, and we'll move things over to Thootstulalah's soldier phase. We will begin things with the imp under Randall's control, who is apparently able to pick up a treasure and will start making its way towards the board's edge. Hopefully the imp doesn't decide to disband from Thootstulalah's warband at the end of this turn though. And to speed things up for the rest of the round, I will be moving a few fighters around the board who have yet to go. Seeing that the cart is empty and that there is not much of a chance to steal a treasure from Akashara, the Snakequeen's warband will go on the defensive. Because when all of these movements are complete, we have a minor demon spawning on each board edge. We also have a die roll to see if the imp turns back over to its demon habits. The creature needs a 10 on the die, and with a critical success, we have a lone imp now carrying a treasure that Thootstulalah needs. This will end round 2 as we move on over to the 3rd battle round. Both wizards will roll off to see who goes first, and we have a trend setting in here as the witch will go first once again. We start the wizard phase off with Akashara herself, who will attempt to cast Leap on the treasure hunter carrying the big old treasure chest. The spell goes off on an 8 and she is successful. The hunter will spring towards his leader, and Akashara herself sees no need to hang around for the rest of this battle and will run off the board, doing a fine job for her warband. The thief carrying the treasure will go next and make his way off the board as well, claiming the first treasure for Akashara's warband. Then to finish off the wizard phase, both of these thugs will group activate and head up towards the minor demon that spawned in. The purple thug will attack the monster first. We have a +4 attack against a +3 fight, and the thug hammers an 8 damage to the minor demon. And right after this, the gray thug will attack the demon as well. Same attack bonuses for each side, and this time, no damage is dealt either way. This will end things for Akashara, and we move over to Thootstulalah's wizard phase. The Snakequeen herself will start things off by casting Banish on the 2 demons she can see in her line of sight range. The spell is successful on a 12, and it is cast on a 17. The imp will attempt to save against the spell, but is unsuccessful with a natural 1 and is removed from this plane of existence, dropping the treasure. The minor demon nearby will roll, and a 15 on the die with a +4 will save. This demon will be staying on the board. Thootstulalah will decide to run off the battlefield as well, assuming her companions can take care of business at this point, and the apothecary next to her will move to the board's edge, just in case a companion will need her help. This will end the wizard phase, and we move over to Cletus to start up the apprentice phase. Cletus here will begin his turn by casting Leap once again on the treasure hunter, looking to get him closer to the board's edge. This spell is successful on a 12, and everything is clicking for the apprentice as he sends his compatriot right to the edge of the battlefield. After the spell is cast, Cletus will make his way to the board's edge as well and turn things over to the ranger and crossbowman. Both of these fighters will elect to not attack this round and make their way to the board's edge, and for the ranger, off the battlefield, since he had a nice speed boost during this game. After all of these moves, we'll switch things over to Randall. The snake apprentice will position himself to be in line of sight of 2 demons and then attempt to cast Banish like his leader. For Randall, the spell is successful on a 14, but he fails with a roll of a 4 and takes 2 points of damage. He tried to go big, but it backfired. To finish off the apprentice phase, both of the thugs that were near Randall will decide to move and get in combat range of the minor demon and elect not to fight, waiting for reinforcements. We will end things there and move over to Akashara's soldier phase. We should have a very simple soldier phase for Akashara here, as she will claim 2 more treasures for her warband, which mainly was due to her team's quick movement and good starting rolls. And of course, let's not forget about the big old cuddly bear, who will start retreating back towards the board's edge as well. After all of these moves, we turn back over to the Snakequeen's forces. For the unclaimed treasure left on the board, the thief will move up to the chest and pick it up. Both the ranger and treasure hunter will get close to the thief to offer up some protection, getting the gold off the board in a later turn. Down at the board's edge, a treasure will be claimed for Thootstulalah's warband, and the thug with the big old sack will move up to the minor demon and then attack the monster. We have a +4 attack against the demon's +3 fight, and the thug underestimates the beast, taking 6 points of damage himself. This will end the soldier phase for round 3 as we finish things off with the creature phase. We'll start off with some movement in the creature phase, where 2 of the minor demons will move up and get closer to the action. After this, we head back over to the demon, who will attack Thootstulalah's thug. We have a +3 fight against a +4, and the demon whiffs, but is lucky enough to take no damage from the thug. Over to the demon in front of Akashara's thugs. This monster will attack. Same bonuses as before, and this attack definitely backfires for the minor demon, and it is decimated by the group of thugs. This will end the creature phase and the battle round. There's little left to do in this game for either side, but we must continue since there are still some fighters on the board. We'll roll off once again, and it looks like Thootstulalah will not get a chance to go first in this game as we begin round number 4. Since there are no wizards on the board, we skip straight to the apprentice phase, where Cletus will just cast Leap on the nearby bear. Really, just to get the minor experience boost at the end of the game. This spell is successful on a 12, and it is cast. And the bear as well is right on the board's edge. Cletus, along with the crossbowmen, will make their way off the board, and we will turn things on over to Randall. Now, since Akashara's forces will be off the board before any of Thootstulalah's soldiers get to activate, Randall is the team's last hope to get some extra experience. He is in range of 3 demons, and he will attempt to cast Banish. The spell goes off on a 14, and he is successful on a 15. That means each demon must get an 11 or higher on the die to survive. Randall, though, is too powerful, and one after the other, each minor demon fails the die roll, and in one swift strike, Randall manages to take out 3 monsters in one turn. This will end things for Randall, and the game as well. Akashara's forces will leave the board shortly, leaving Thootstulala's forces the 5th and final treasure. And with the game all complete, let's move on over to the after-game activities. We will start off with Thootstulalah. For her soldiers, she lost no one, which is fantastic, and no rolls are needed to determine survival. In this battle, Thootstulalah managed to gain 255 experience, bringing her up to a total of 265. She will spend 200 of those points gaining another point in health and learning the spell Dispel from a grimoire she acquired in a previous game. This raises her up to level 4. Thootstulala's Warband recovered 2 treasures. With this scenario, she will gain 40 gold crowns in addition to what she will discover inside each treasure shortly. In the first chest, she acquired 20 gold crowns and the magical armor, the Cloak of Protection, which grants the user a +1 to their armor. Quite the find. The second treasure contained 40 gold crowns and a magical +1 armor shield. All of a sudden, the Snakequeen's Warband has gotten a lot more defensive. Thootstulalah will decide to spend 65 gold crowns to recruit a man-at-arms into her Warband to replace a thug. Now we move on over to Akashara the Witch. For her soldiers, she lost no one as well, so no rolls are need to be had. In this battle, Akashara managed to gain 275 experience points, bringing her up to a total of 335. She will spend 300 of those points gaining another point in health, reducing the casting cost of Brew Potion, and learn the spell Reveal Secret from a grimoire she acquired last game. This raises her up to level 5. Akashara's Warband also recovered 3 treasures with the addition of 60 gold crowns. The first treasure contained 40 gold crowns and a grimoire of Strike Dead from the Necromancy School of Magic. The second treasure contained another 20 gold crowns and a magical item, a Ring of Power. This specific Ring of Power has a level of 1. And in the final treasure, Akashara managed to acquire a massive 120 gold crowns. With a massive amount of coin at her disposal, Akashara will purchase the Giant Cauldron for her base, granting her a +1 to cast Brew Potion, as well as the Carrier Pigeons upgrade. And with even more gold crowns left over, she will purchase a second treasure hunter to join her ranks. So there you have it, folks, another Frostgrave battle in the books. I think going first every round for Akashara secured her the majority of treasures, but seeing Randall kick some demon ass at the end of the game was just a joy to watch. If you enjoy this content, let me know by doing all the socials, liking, commenting, and so on. Make sure to check out the Patreon and Discord for other fun stuff as well. Until next time, folks, I want to thank you all for watching, and of course, happy gaming.